Dear friends, I'm Dr. David. With more than 30 years working in women's health and in endocrinology at major hospitals in the United States, I've had the chance to meet so many women strong, resilient, and sometimes quietly fragile in ways they rarely share with anyone. Today, before we begin talking about the T's that can help women after 50 awaken femininity, rekindle desire, and restore intimate connection naturally, I want us to start slowly, gently, as if I were sitting with you in a quiet room with warm yellow light and the soft scent of tea drifting through the air. Because this topic is not just about health, not just about hormones, not just about tea. This is a story about women after 50, about bodies that have lived through countless changes, hearts that have carried many years, and emotions you often keep to yourself, unspoken, unasked, and unheard. I've heard many women tell me in the exam room in a very soft voice, sometimes with embarrassment, sometimes with sadness. Doctor, I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't feel desire. I don't know what's happening to my body. I'm afraid my husband thinks I don't love him anymore. And I always look at them, smile gently, and say, it's not your fault, not at all. Because after 50, when menopause begins, when estrogen drops lower than ever before, the female body enters a very special stage, a stage that science calls hormonal transition, but many women call it something more silent. I feel dry. I feel distant. Matuam, I don't feel like being close. I can't sleep. I'm irritable. I'm tired. And I always want them to know those feelings are not an ending. They are a change. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, where did I go? The part of you that once felt alive, passionate, expressive, suddenly quiet. If you've ever felt that, I want you to know you are not alone, not even for a moment. One of my patients, she was 57, told me, Doctor, I love my husband, but I don't feel inspired. It's like my heart closed a door I don't know how to open. And I asked her, have you ever opened an old door? It never opens by pulling harder. It opens with patience and by touching the right place. The female body is the same. Desire doesn't disappear. It simply becomes quiet because of hormone changes, stress, poor sleep, and the invisible pressures women carry their entire lives. And sometimes to open that door again, you don't need strong medication or big interventions. Sometimes all you need is the right tea, something gentle, safe, natural, but deeply powerful, supporting circulation, hormones, emotions, sleep, and that uniquely feminine softness. I want you to imagine this, a quiet afternoon. Your hand holding a warm cup of tea, the steam rising with a sweet, comforting aroma. You close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel your body softened, comforted, embraced after a long day. Not every tea can do that, but some teas well studied, used in natural medicine for hundreds of years, can awaken feminine flow by improving blood flow to the pelvic area, easing dryness naturally, reducing stress, the biggest cause of lost desire, stabilizing mood, reconnecting emotions and intimacy, restoring confidence in joy and love. And in this video, I want to take you on a very personal journey, the journey of 5 T's that changed the lives of many of my patients, and I believe they can bring gentle, meaningful change to yours as well. But before we go into each T, I want you to pause for a moment right here, right now. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I listening to my body? Because a woman's body is like a piece of music. After 50, the melody may grow softer, but it never stops being beautiful. Touch the right notes and it will sing again softly and gracefully. In the next part, we'll explore the first T1 that is warm like an embrace and powerful like the blood flow awakening again. If you find these insights helpful, please like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe with notifications turned on so you won't miss the next chapters. And if you have your own story, leave it in the comments. I read every single one of them. Dear friends, now I'd like to invite you into the very first T in this journey of reclaiming natural femininity in desire after 50. And as you listen, I hope you can sit comfortably, relax your shoulders, and imagine that we're having this conversation on a quiet afternoon, unhurried, gentle, without pressure. If you've ever felt your body becoming colder than before, not cold from the weather, but a kind of inner coldness, a slowing down, a silence you can't quite name, then you are not alone. Many women after 50 feel exactly this. Some call it losing emotion. Some say, I don't feel any need. Others simply describe it as I feel dry. But whatever the name, I want you to know this, it is not the end of desire. It is your body's way of telling you it needs warmth, care, and a gentle awakening. And that is why I want to begin with cinnamon tea. I want you to imagine this. A warm cup of tea, gentle steam curling upward, carrying the soft scent of wood sweetness and that unmistakable little kick of spice. If you bring the cup closer to your nose and take a deep breath, you'll feel a wave of warmth entering your body. That feeling alone is enough to soften your heart just a little after a long day. In medicine, we know desire is not only about hormones, not only psychological, it is deeply connected to blood flow. When blood flow slows, the body reacts slowly. When blood flow becomes warm and lively again, emotions follow. And cinnamon is one of nature's gifts that helps awaken that circulation gently and safely. I remember one of my patients, Linda, 58 years old. The first day she came in, she looked anxious. Her hands were gripping her purse tightly, her eyes fixed on the floor as if she were hiding something deeply personal. Finally, she said to me in a soft, embarrassed voice, "I love my husband, but I don't feel anything. My body feels cold, not on the skin, but inside. I don't know what's happening to me." I looked at her, smiled gently, and said, "Linda, you are not broken. Your body is tired. It just needs softer care." Then I suggested something very simple, 1 cup of cinnamon tea every night. When she returned a month later, I could see something had shifted. From the moment she walked in, her eyes were brighter, and when she sat down, she smiled softly. "Doctor, I feel warm again, not just my body, my emotions too." She said she began to feel connection again, the connection she thought she had lost. And the beautiful part is, she didn't force herself. Just by giving her body the warmth it needed, everything slowly found its way back. Science explains this very clearly, but I'll say it simply. When women enter menopause, estrogen drops dramatically. Estrogen is the hormone that keeps blood flowing, keeps the body soft, keeps the pelvic area responsive. When hormones fall, everything slows down, dries out, becomes less sensitive. And cinnamon, by warming the blood, helps revive the very areas that need the most nourishment. Many women tell me they don't understand why they no longer feel desire. But when I ask about sleep, about stress, about that cold feeling inside, they nod. Desire doesn't disappear because the body is weak. It disappears because the body is protecting itself. Cinnamon tea is like a message, a soft reminder to the body that says you are safe. You are cared for. You can open again. Drinking cinnamon tea is not just drinking something healthy. It's a ritual, a moment a woman can dedicate to herself. Imagine sitting alone in the evening, soft lights, the quiet breath of the house settling. You place both hands around the warm cup, close your eyes, take a deep breath. You feel a softness returning inside you. That's not just the scent of cinnamon. That is the feeling of coming back home to yourself. I often tell my patients, when you drink cinnamon tea, don't rush. Don't drink it like a chore. Drink it like an act of kindness toward your body. Let each sip be a message: I am here with you. I'm not abandoning you. When you do that consistently, your body responds in the most natural way. You don't have to force yourself to feel desire. Desire comes back when the body feels warm, cared for, and listened to. And if you're wondering, is cinnamon tea the only thing that helps? The answer is no. But cinnamon tea is a wonderful beginning, simple, accessible, safe, and effective for many women. Sometimes to change something big, all we need is one small habit. I hope you give your body that chance. 1 cup of tea, 1 quiet minute, 1 bit of warmth returning. If you found this helpful, don't forget to, like the video, share it with someone, especially women going through this silent chapter. And please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part. And if you have your own story, leave it in the comments. I read every single one, and I deeply appreciate everything you share. Dear friends, after we explored cinnamon tea, the tea that brings warmth from within, I now want to introduce you to another tea that I believe every woman at 50, 55, or 60 should try at least once in her life. Ginger tea, a tea that seems ordinary, familiar, almost simple, yet carries a healing power deeper than most people realize. I want you to imagine something. Remember the feeling of sipping a warm ginger drink on a chilly day. Just 1 second after that first sip, your throat softens. Your chest expands. Your breath becomes deeper and slower. Then the gentle heat spreads, awakening every tiny cell inside you. Ginger has its own way of making the body wake up, but not a rushed awakening, not a forceful one, but a slow, gentle, deeply internal awakening. For women after 50, this is more important than you might think. Because as the body enters menopause, so many things begin to slow down. Blood flow slows, energy slows, emotional response slows. And many women describe this as a kind of numbness, a long quietness inside their own body. They tell me they still love, they still want closeness, but the feeling just doesn't turn on. They're not sad, not tired, but they feel empty. Have you ever felt that way? As if something inside you is asleep and you don't know how to wake it up. I remember a patient of mine, Maria, 62 years old. She was sharp, strong, a former director of a small company. She used to be confident, assertive, full of presence. But after menopause, she told me, it feels like someone turned off my switch. She no longer felt attractive, no longer felt emotion, no longer felt that spark she had in her younger years. Seeing her share this, I could feel the sadness and helplessness in the eyes of a woman who had been strong all her life. I suggested something simple: drink ginger tea every morning and drink it in silence. Not while scrolling your phone, not while multitasking. Just drink and let your body feel. 3 weeks later, when she came back, she walked in with a bright smile. I'm not saying I feel 30 again, but I feel alive. I feel awake. I feel lighter. And I feel like a woman again. That sentence stayed with me forever. Like a woman again. Not because her hormones suddenly surged. Not because of a miracle. But because ginger helped warm her body, improved circulation, softened her energy, and most importantly, lifted her mood. A woman's emotional state affects desire more than any physical factor. If you're stressed, sad, overwhelmed, anxious, or sleep-deprived, desire is the first thing to fade. Not because you are weak, but because your body is trying to protect you from overload. Ginger is one of the rare teas that helps women reduce stress naturally. Its gentle heat activates circulation. Its aroma stimulates the nervous system. And the warmth it creates helps your body relax, your chest open, your heart feel lighter. When the body relaxes, desire returns. When the mind settles, women reconnect with themselves. When the blood warms, emotions warm too. Many people think desire is purely physical, but truly 70% of desire lives in the mind, in the feeling of being connected, soft and emotionally open. Ginger is one of the bridges that helps women move from pressure into relaxation. I want you to try this. One morning, instead of rushing for coffee and diving straight into work, make a cup of hot ginger tea. Don't see it as a drink. See it as a pause. When you bring the cup to your lips, feel the warmth touch your skin. When you take the first sip, notice the heat traveling down your throat and spreading into your chest. You will feel your body change little by little. Not loudly, not dramatically, but enough for you to sense life coming back to you. I meet many women who tell me they lost desire, but when I ask about their life, their sleep, their work, their family responsibilities, the stress they endure, I understand that desire isn't gone. It's just covered by exhaustion. Ginger may not transform your life overnight, but it can be a small step toward reclaiming what you thought you lost. And when you begin to feel warm again, not just in your body, but in your emotions, you'll realize desire is never far away. It's simply waiting for you to slow down, breathe deeply, and give it space to return. Dear friends, ginger tea is a small gift, but for many women it is the beginning of a rebirth. And I believe that if you give your body the chance, you will feel it too. If this message resonates with you, take a second to like the video, share it with a friend or loved one who may be going through the same stage. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to follow the next part. And I truly hope to read your story in the comments. Your words always bring me deep understanding and connection. Dear friends, we've talked about the warmth of cinnamon and the gentle awakening of ginger. Now I want to take you to a very special kind of tea, one that doesn't just affect the body, but touches the deepest part of femininity, soy tea, or what we call in medicine, isoflavone tea. If cinnamon awakens blood flow and ginger awakens energy, then soy tea awakens feminine hormones, the essential foundation of desire, emotion, softness, and confidence in women after 50. I want to share with you a story that has stayed with me for years. One of my patients named Cheryl, 54 years old. She was a gentle, refined woman, deeply devoted to her family. But she came to see me on an autumn morning with a tired face, eyes heavy from too many sleepless nights. She said, "Doctor, I don't recognize my body anymore. I'm dry, irritable, and I don't want intimacy. I don't want to be that kind of wife." I asked her, "How long have you felt this way?" She said, "About 2 years, since menopause began." Then she paused for a long, quiet moment and added, "Sometimes I look at my husband and I still love him like the first day, but my body just won't open anymore. I feel like I'm locked." I looked at her and said, "Cheryl, your body isn't locked. Your estrogen is simply too low and your body isn't getting the support it needs." For women, estrogen isn't just a hormone. It is emotion. It is femininity. It is softness. It is the ability to feel closeness. It is the sensitivity of every blood vessel, every layer of skin, every subtle response. When estrogen drops, as it always does after 50, many women fall into dryness, low desire, emotional disconnection, insomnia, irritability, hot flashes, all forming a cycle that slowly erases desire. But the good news is, nature has a gift for women: isoflavones and soy. Isoflavones are phytoestrogens, plant-based estrogens, with a structure similar to the body's natural estrogen. They're not as strong as prescription estrogen, but gentle enough to help the body feel balanced again, especially during the steep hormonal decline after menopause. I advise Cheryl to try soy tea or isoflavone tea 1 to 2 cups a day, along with slow breathing exercises at night. When she came back after 6 weeks, I will never forget her eyes. She walked into my office with a smile I thought had disappeared years ago. She said, "I feel like I've been given back to myself. My body feels softer. I sleep better. And I want to touch my husband again, doctor." I put a hand on her shoulder and said, "Good, Cheryl. Your body is remembering how it used to love. It just needed a little support. You know, there are things women don't say. Not because they don't want to, but because they're afraid people will think they're weak. But in truth, women are the strongest people I know. And sometimes that strength makes them forget that they also need care, that they need to refill what their bodies have lost." Soy tea is not magic, but it is a subtle, steady supplement. It supports hormones but doesn't force them. It helps balance the body without pushing too hard. It softens what has become tight, moisturizes what has become dry, calms what has been restless. And most importantly, it helps a woman feel like herself again, whole feminine, warm, soft, emotional, just like before, or even more so. I want you to imagine holding a warm cup of soy tea. No strong smell, no intense flavor, just gentleness, white smooth, soft like your own morning breath. A tea that doesn't demand attention, but embraces your hormonal system like a mother holding her child when it's trembling. When a woman feels supported from within, desire naturally returns. No chasing, no forcing. It returns like a natural reflex of balance. I see many women tell me they lost desire, but when I look deeper at hormones, at lifestyle, at sleep, I see desire was never gone. It was simply blocked by hormonal imbalance the body couldn't solve on its own. And if you're wondering whether soy tea is safe, the answer is for most women, absolutely yes, except for those being treated for hormone-sensitive cancers. For everyone else, it is one of the most trusted natural supports recognized by modern and traditional medicine. Dear friends, I want you to remember something very important. Desire doesn't disappear with age. It simply needs to be nourished in a way that matches your age. Soy tea helps you do that, gently, elegantly, and with deep femininity. If this message helps you understand your body more, please leave a like, share this video with the women you love. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for part 5. You can also share your story in the comments. I read them all because each one carries a piece of a woman's heart. Dear friends, we've talked about cinnamon, the warmth that awakens blood flow, ginger, the gentle awakening of energy, and soy, the natural balancing of hormones. Now I want to bring you to a very special tea, a tea that doesn't just affect the body, but touches the heart of a woman. This is rose tea. If cinnamon awakens physical warmth, ginger awakens energy, and soy awakens hormones, then rose awakens femininity, the deepest, most delicate, most beautiful part of a woman. I think everyone would agree with me on this. At 20 or 30, women still feel beautiful. But when reaching 50, 55, or 60, many look into the mirror and ask, how do I still feel like a woman? How do I still feel desirable, even when my body has changed? And the interesting truth is, femininity doesn't come from the body, not from the face, not from measurements, skin, or age. It comes from the state of the heart. A woman is truly beautiful only when her heart softens, when she feels peaceful, when she reconnects with her emotions, when she loves herself. But the problem is, after 50, life rarely gives women time to soften. They're stressed, they're tired, they worry about family, children, health, finances, And too much worry slowly hardens a woman's heart without her noticing. I once asked a patient of mine, "When was the last time you felt your heart soften?" She gave a sad smile and said, "Maybe 20 years ago, since the moment I got too busy to remember who I was." And that was when I suggested rose tea. Not because roses symbolize love, not because they are beautiful, not because they smell good, but because they touch emotions in a way very few teas can. Rose tea has a remarkable ability to reduce stress, calm the nervous system, and reopen emotions that have been pushed into dark corners. When women are stressed, cortisol rises, and cortisol is the biggest enemy of desire. When cortisol rises, estrogen drops, emotions shut down, and desire fades. But Rose, in a very gentle way, melts those tensions. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Cynthia, 61 years old. She went through a divorce, then months of insomnia, then anxiety about her children. When she came to me, she said, "I don't want anyone touching me anymore. I don't feel beautiful anymore. I don't feel anything." I asked her a simple question. "Cynthia, do you give yourself time to breathe?" She stayed silent for a moment, then shook her head. I advised her to make a cup of rose tea every evening and drink it as a ritual, a moment for herself. A month later, she returned. Her eyes were no longer exhausted. Her voice was softer. She said, "I don't know what happened, but I feel softer. I feel more emotional. I laugh more easily, and I'm starting to want closeness again." That is exactly what rose tea brings. Not stimulation, not dramatic change, not intense physical effects, but the reopening of the heart. Because desire in women does not begin in the body. It begins in the emotions. It begins in connection. It begins in the state of mind. Rose tea helps women slow down, and that is exactly what desire needs. No one can feel intimate when the mind is running 100 miles an hour. No one can feel emotion when the heart is closed. No one can feel soft when they've had to be strong all day. Rose, in a deeply feminine way, whispers to a woman, "You've endured enough. Now it's time to be gentle." I want you to imagine this. One evening, you make yourself a cup of rose tea. The tea has a soft pink color, a delicate, clean, calming aroma. You sit down, place both hands on the cup, and close your eyes. You inhale softly. And in that moment, you feel yourself soften. Just soften. And your body will know what to do next. Your heart will reopen. Desire will return. Not the desire of your 20s. Not the impulsiveness of youth. But the desire of a mature woman, gentle, deep, steady, and emotional. I always tell my patients, you didn't lose desire. You just lost connection with yourself. When you reconnect, desire opens again like a flower. And rose tea is one of the ways those petals open. If this message makes you feel seen, understood, or touched, please take a moment to like the video, share it with other women who may be experiencing the same feelings. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for the next part. And if you have your own story, no matter how small, no matter how personal, leave it in the comments. I always read them, and I treasure every word. Dear friends, after we talked about rose tea, the tea that softens a woman's heart and helps her reconnect with her emotions, I now want to bring you to a very special kind of tea. A tea I believe every woman after 50 will need at some point. Not because the body's weak, but because the mind is overloaded. This is lavender tea, the tea of peace, of deep sleep, of the kind of relaxation adulthood has taken away from you long ago. I have met hundreds, even thousands of women over 50 in my clinic, and they often say the same things, only different in tone and in the exhaustion in their eyes. "Doctor, I can't sleep anymore." "Doctor, I'm tired, but I can't relax. I'm always tense. I don't even have the mental space to think about intimacy." And I always answer with something that often surprises them. You didn't lose desire, you lost peace. Because women, unlike men, cannot feel desire when the mind is chaotic. If your thoughts are tight like a stretched string, if you worry about your children, your family, your job, your health, if you lie in bed and your mind keeps running, then even if your body is healthy, even if your hormones are balanced, desire cannot grow. And that is why lavender tea is so important. Lavender is not just a scent, it is the language of relaxation. It is nature's way of telling you, enough, it's time to breathe. Enough, it's time to return to yourself. Let me tell you the story of Elizabeth, 63 years old, a beautifully mature woman. She was a teacher, hardworking, devoted, giving her whole life to her students and her family. But when she came to me, she said something that broke my heart. "I feel like I've been disappearing into other people's lives." That sentence, I think many women watching this will understand. Women spend their whole lives giving, but after 50, that giving can become a burden until the mind is constantly tense. Elizabeth didn't lose desire. She simply no longer had space to feel it. I told her to start drinking lavender tea every night at the same time as a ritual to restore her mind. 3 weeks later, when she returned, I knew everything had changed the moment she walked in. Her eyes were lighter. Her shoulders were no longer tight. She sat down and said, "I don't remember the last time I slept deeply, but these past few weeks, I've been sleeping. And the strange thing is, I feel like I want intimacy again. It's like my mind opened its doors back up." I smiled and said, "Yes, Elizabeth. When the mind becomes peaceful, the body speaks its truth. Lavender does something medicine often cannot. It brings the body back into safety. And when the body feels safe, desire returns as a natural biological reflex. Women cannot love when they are tense, cannot open their hearts when they are exhausted, cannot soften when they are carrying the world on their shoulders. So drinking lavender tea isn't just drinking tea. It's a reminder. You deserve peace. You deserve deep sleep. You deserve to relax. You deserve to be loved. I want you to imagine this: a quiet evening. You turn off the main lights, leaving only a warm yellow lamp. You make yourself a cup of lavender tea. The scent rises, not sharp, not heavy, but soft and calm like the breath of night. You place both hands on the cup, close your eyes, breathe deeply. And in that moment, you feel yourself releasing part of the burden you carried all day. Lavender has a strange ability to help you let go without effort. It quiets the waves in your mind. It softens the noise inside your head. It helps women rediscover the softness they thought they'd lost. And when you sleep better, breathe deeper, feel calmer, emotions come back. Desire comes back. Connection comes back. Not the intensity of youth, but the closeness of maturity, deep, warm, slow, and meaningful. I always tell my patients, no desire can survive in a chaotic mind, but every desire blooms in a peaceful heart. That is why lavender matters so much. And if you're wondering, should I try it? My answer is, try it for 1 week. You will feel the difference. If these reflections bring you even a little peace, a little hope, or a little reconnection with yourself, please take a moment to like the video, share it with a woman you love, and subscribe with notifications on for the next part. And as always, I would love to hear your stories. Leave a comment, even a short one, because your stories are the most important part of this journey. Dear friends, at this point, after we've talked about each tea, the warmth of cinnamon, the gentle awakening of ginger, the hormonal balance of soy, the softness of rose, and the peace of lavender, I want to take you into the most important part of this entire journey. Because drinking a cup of tea is easy, but creating real change in the body of a woman after 50, that requires a roadmap, companionship, and a gentle but consistent rhythm. I often tell my patients, the body after 50 is like a door that hasn't been opened in a long time. You can't pull it hard. You have to open it with patience. And that's why I want to share with you a 30-day path, one that many women have followed to rediscover desire, connection, softness, and confidence they thought they had lost. But before we begin, I want you to do one small thing for me and for yourself. Place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and gently ask, what does my body need most right now? Warmth, suri awareness, rest to wasuri minam, suri yun. Balance, or simply a moment where you get to be yourself. You might be surprised your body always knows the answer before your mind does. This 30-day journey isn't meant to force change. It is meant to walk with your body, helping it rediscover the rhythm it once had, a rhythm that time and pressure quietly took away. I always begin the first week with awakening teas, because after 50, many women stay in a state of stillness for too long. Not the stillness of peace, but the stillness of exhaustion. The body slows down. Emotions feel muted. Desire doesn't spark the way it used to. And cinnamon and ginger are the perfect companions to begin with. They awaken circulation. They warm the body. They help blood flow faster, lighter, and warmer. Many women tell me after week 1 they feel less heavy, more open, more responsive. Moving into week 2, once the body has awakened, this is the moment to bring in balance. Isoflavones from soy are the key. Not strong, not sudden, not forcing the body, but nourishing, replenishing. A message from nature saying, you deserve to be in balance again. During this week, many women begin to notice subtle changes. Better sleep, steadier mood, less irritability, and many tell me this, they feel feminine again. Femininity isn't clothes or appearance. Femininity is softness inside. It is sensitivity returning. It is the feeling of the body opening again after being closed for too long. And I want you to remember this. Desire cannot come when the body is closed. In week 3, I guide them toward rose and lavender. Because by now the body is awake and balanced, but the mind still needs to be held, soothed, and restored. Rose brings back forgotten emotions. Lavender helps release what has been carried for far too long. Many women cry when they tell me they slept deeply for the first time in years. Some say they looked in the mirror and felt kinder, softer. Some say they felt like they were coming back. And when a woman says she is coming back, it means desire is coming back with her. No longer distant, no longer heavy, no longer lost. And finally, week 4, the most important week. The week of listening. In this week, I no longer tell my patients which tea to drink. I simply ask, what does your body want today? If they feel cold, cinnamon. If they feel tired, ginger. If they feel dry or unbalanced, soy. If their mind is tight, lavender. If their heart needs softness, rose. Listening to the body, that is the most important lesson at this age. Because after 50, the body does not need strength. It needs kindness. It needs gentleness. It needs to be loved in ways we often forget to give ourselves. I want you to imagine walking through these 30 days. Day 1, you're unsure. Day 5, you feel warmer. Day 10, you sleep better. Day 15, your mind feels lighter. Day 20, you feel desire returning. And day 30, you look in the mirror and see a new woman. Not new because she is younger. New because she finally returned to herself. Dear friends, tea is not a miracle, but it can be the door to a rebirth. Gentle, slow, but lasting. If this message resonates with you, please take a moment to like the video, share it with the women you love, and subscribe with notifications on for the next videos. And as always, I hope to read your story in the comments. Sometimes your story might help another woman find her way back to herself. Dear friends, as we've walked together from the very first part to this final moment, I want you to take a quiet pause and feel something I've always believed. The journey to rediscover desire after 50 is not a journey of the body. It is a journey back to yourself. In over 30 years as a doctor, I've met countless women, each with her own story, her own worry, her own wounds, her own silent hopes. And I've learned that women after 50 don't just need physical care, they need someone to tell them, you are still beautiful. You are still worthy of love. You still deserve emotion closeness in the feelings you thought were gone. And that is exactly what I want to tell you right now. Many people think fading desire is a sign of aging, decline, or loss. But that is simply not true. Desire doesn't disappear. It only becomes hidden behind exhaustion, hormonal changes, years of responsibilities, and worries you've carried for so long. Dear friends, desire has not left you. You've just forgotten how to invite it back. And the 5 teas we discussed, cinnamon, ginger, soy, rose, lavender, they are not magic. They are gentle hands guiding you back to yourself. Many women ask me, Doctor, how long until I feel normal again? And I always say, when you stop trying to return and start loving yourself. Because femininity isn't something you regain. It's something you remember. Let me tell you one of my favorite stories of my entire career. A woman named Hannah, 67 years old. She didn't come to ask about illness. She came to ask about feelings. She sat down, looked me straight in the eyes and said, I don't want to die without ever living for myself. I asked her, do you feel like you've lived for others too long? She smiled softly. I lived for my kids, my husband, my family, my work. For myself, maybe never. She told me that for 15 years she'd felt no desire. Not because her body was weak, not because her marriage was cold, but because she had forgotten herself. I advised her to start small. A cup of rose tea before bed. A cup of cinnamon tea in the morning. A cup of lavender tea on the days her mind felt heavy. 3 months later, Hannah returned with a smile I had never seen before. She said, I don't just feel desire again. I feel worthy of love. That is the real transformation. Not the body becoming young again. Not hormones fully restored, but the heart returning home. I told her, Hannah, desire has returned to you, but really it is you who has returned to desire. Dear friends, I want you to understand that the most important thing isn't which tea you choose. The most important thing is how you treat your body while you drink it. When you drink cinnamon, you give your body warmth. When you drink ginger, you give your body energy. When you drink soy, you give your body balance. When you drink rose, you give your heart softness. When you drink lavender, you give your mind peace. And when a woman has a warm body, balanced hormones, a soft heart, a peaceful mind, desire doesn't have to be found. It comes, it opens, it awakens on its own. Just like a flower, you cannot force it to bloom, but you can nourish the soil water, and give it sunlight, and it will bloom in its own perfect time. A woman's desire is the same. It blooms when you stop forcing and start caring. Before we end part 8, I want you to do one small thing for me and for yourself. Place your hand over your heart right now. Take a slow breath and softly say, I am still myself. I am just learning to return. If you can say that, I believe your journey has already begun. Dear friends, thank you for walking with me to this final chapter. If this video has given you peace, hope, or strength, please like it, share it with the women you love because many need to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so I can continue walking with you in the journeys ahead. And as always, please leave your story, your thoughts, or your feelings in the comments. I read every single one because each word is a piece of your heart.